All right, good morning, everyone. It's Nancy Narden of Smart Selling Tools, and I'm really pleased to have with me today two gentlemen, one from KnowledgeTree. As you can see, that's Peter Mullins. Say hello, Peter. Peter is the
Hi,
CMO
Nancy.
for KnowledgeTree and really has helped the company uh, get a lot of momentum and grow and have lots of customers that are happy to be using their solution, like Bill Dolby here. Bill is heads up the sales ops for RingCentral, which is another company that is uh, doing gangbusters. And so, Bill, I'll actually have you tell us a little bit about RingCentral here in a second. But first of all, I'll just tell everyone that here's how it's going to go. We'll keep it really quick. I'd like to have about 20-minute conversation with your colleagues, those of you that are listening. Bill, we're going to talk to Bill about his situation and the types of challenges that maybe he was experiencing and why he decided he needed to do something about it, and all of the thoughts and decisions that go into something like this that you all that are listening in are probably dealing with. And then after that, I'm going to ask Peter to actually show us KnowledgeTree in action so that you can see what it looks like and how it works. All right, well, welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Great to be
Thank
here.
you.
All right, Bill, let's start with you. And for those that maybe don't know, tell us a little bit about RingCentral.
Sure. RingCentral is a leading provider of cloud communications tools. Primarily, our main product is a PBX replacement. So we move the telephone switching to the cloud. But by doing that, we are able to integrate remote office and mobile employees so much easier because those devices can all be in the cloud. And our business has been growing very fast. We're over 400 million in sales and growing at 30+% right now. So it's a fast-growing business, which presents a lot of challenges for our sales operations team.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It's not easy to get 30% growth on a $400 million base, or even to get to 400 million. So what I'm hearing, you're fast-growing. That in and of itself can present some challenges. Not the least of which is to make sure that everyone's up to speed on the different technologies that you're using and are making use of them and adopting them. How many sales people are in your organization?
Yeah, so we have a little over 400 sales reps right now, and they're all heads down on the phone talking to customers of all sizes. About a small percentage of that are actually field employees making calls on large enterprise customers, maybe about 50 of those. So about 350 of them are on the phone 100% of the time, getting leads, following up on leads, and trying to close business. And it's a very busy day for us because the quarter's about to close. So
oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
It's going on right now. Yeah.
So
we have a demand marketing demand gen driven model where we spend a lot of money with Google. I think we send all of our cash to Google to get leads, and then we pass those leads out to our sales reps, and we follow up on every lead that we get. We get upwards of 80,000 leads a quarter to be spread out over those 400 reps, and we're processing a lot of leads, and sales reps are on the phone, either receiving calls, receiving chats, or making outbound calls to follow up on web leads or purchased leads, pretty much, 8 full hours a day to drive to make their numbers. So we have a lot of leads. And so, with that kind of high transaction business, we have a lot of leads that come in, and then you got another one, another one, another one. You got to figure out which ones to convert, which ones to discard. And this was actually part of our problem is we have maybe more leads than reps can handle. And so they're quick to discard leads, too quick. Make a couple calls. Well, I can't get hold of this person. Let me move on to the next one because I got a whole bunch, lined up. Mm-hmm. And we saw this problem developing that, hey, we're not getting, we got to try harder. We got to make 5 calls or 8 calls to every lead or more. And now you just do the math. You got to hire a lot more sales reps to handle those leads. It becomes very expensive. So you have this trade-off between, do I, really work hard on every lead and with a lot potential productivity impact negatively, or do I discard the leads too quickly and not capitalize on the opportunity that I've paid for already by purchasing this lead? So that was a dilemma that we found ourselves in. And as our business was scaling, I think when we bought KnowledgeTree 3 years ago, we had about 200 reps. So we have doubled our sales force in the last 3 years, and it keeps on growing, so the volumes keep growing, and just becomes very difficult to manage that and get the highest yield out of your leads that you're investing in to purchase.
Yeah. Well,
so we thought about, well, gosh, if we could send content to our leads efficiently, then we could keep them busy reading our content while we're working on the next batch of leads that's coming in. And so this led us to begin searching for a content management solution that would help us to get our content out to our customers for consideration.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about that content, because one of the most difficult things, as you alluded to, is not necessarily getting the leads, but it's getting those leads to engage with you. Mm-hmm. As we were talking before we started the webinar this morning, Bill, you said yourself you get a lot of phone calls from technology vendors trying to sell you on things, and that's the case for everybody. Their phones are ringing off the hook. So, and the name of this webinar is converting more prospects into customers. So, right. So how do you do that? How did you decide, first of all, that not KnowledgeTree, but that content was the key to it?
Yeah. So when we teach and I do a lot of our sales training and new hire onboarding, and when I'm talking to them, I'm very blunt with them, and I say, you know what? It's not that your customer's not interested, your prospect is not interested. It's that you're not interesting. And I hit them right between the eyes. You're just not that interesting. That's why they're not talking to you. It's not unlike, going on in a dating situation to a social gathering, and you're prospecting and you're talking to 3 or 4 or 5, and then you pick the one that's the most interesting to have the next date. Now, in our case, prospects are typically contacting multiple vendors. They're talking to our competitors. Who's going to be the most interesting to get the next date? And if you're not the most interesting, then you're on the sideline maybe till the next week when they come back to the social event to try again. So I try and position it in that way that, some of you are very interesting, but some of you are not. But our content is interesting, right? Our content talks about the business problems that customers have and how we offer solutions and what the value of those solutions is. So if you're not very interesting, send them some interesting content and maybe they'll respond to that. And, personally, when I'm besieged with sales reps, I say, send me something to read. I don't want to talk to you, Yeah. So, send me something you got a chance. I might read it. And if I read it and I like it, then I'll engage. And so that's where you see the value of content is much more valuable and interesting than, frankly, a 25-year-old sales development rep who just really doesn't know that much, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, salespeople have to earn the right to, like you said, get a second date or to actually have more conversations with buyers. And content, providing valuable content that's actually helpful, that gets a foot in the door. That gets people's attention, and then, they have some questions and they want to learn more.
Yeah. So it's also valuable from a time standpoint because, I'm probably busy when the sales development rep called, but I can see, well, maybe some other time I'll be interested. So it's a lot easier for me to take that email with some content in it and store it someplace in a folder, and then when I am interested, then I can go to that folder, find that email, read the content, and then re-engage. I'm never going to remember the sales rep's name and phone number. There's no place to store that. So content is much more powerful as a lead development tool than a sales development rep.
Okay. All right. So you recognize content is the key to help you engage with more of the prospects that you're reaching out to. Tell us a little bit about what some of the requirements were in the, let's see, I'm trying to find, I thought I had a really good slide for that. So what were some of the requirements? And for instance, were there other, I would classify KnowledgeTree as a sales enablement solution. Were there other, I don't know, maybe email cadence tools or things that maybe weren't sales enablement that you considered? Why did you land on sales enablement and then maybe specifically KnowledgeTree?
Yeah, so, the technology developed in the middle 2000s was to have content stored in a drive someplace, and maybe that was SharePoint or Salesforce.com content, or a highly sophisticated content storage system like Savo. That was the technology of the mid-2000s. And, that technology is actually extended. Now you have Box and Dropbox and Google folders and how many other places to store content. The trouble is, in our situation, we've got a sales rep on the phone with a customer. And, we want them handling that call and moving on to the next call. And if they have to think about, well, what should I send this person? Where is it? Can they find it? Which drive is it on? They just don't work anymore because it's too fast of a environment, transaction-oriented environment. And so we wanted to bring the content to the reps with filtering and suggestions so that while the rep was on the phone with the customer, they could find the content and send it to them and then go on to the next call. And I always like to use the illustration of a quarterback hitting a wide receiver with a long pass for a touchdown, or, because it's basketball season, isn't it cool when the guard throws the lob pass up and the center grabs it midair and dunks it, for a score? That's beauty, right? Well, sales enablement can be that same thing. I want to provide that lob pass to the sales rep in the middle of the sales call so that they can send the content to the customer that is relevant to the customer. Mm-hmm. And in this way, the reps also have to be better listeners with this tool because, well, what is my customer going to be interested in? I don't want to just send them one of these three go-to documents. It may have nothing to do with what they're interested in. I better listen for what they're interested in so I can send them the right document. So we found that reps are listening better on sales calls to discern what is this customer's interest or an area of concern or an objection or someplace that they want to learn and become more aware of the industry. And then while the customer is on the phone, the rep with KnowledgeTree is able to filter and see the documents that would be of interest and actually be sending the email while the customer is still on the phone. Nancy, it sounds like you're interested in voice over IP quality. May I send you a document explaining what that is and how it works and, to answer some of your concerns? Well, yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Okay, go ahead and send it to me. Mm-hmm. Now I'm hitting closer to the mark with the content. And because KnowledgeTree allows us to filter and tag documents based on business problems or the title of the person we're talking to or the industry or the sales stage, we're able to get those documents out of a large folder of documents filtered up to the top to send just the right piece to the right person at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to use your analogy, I love that basketball analogy. We could take it one step further and say, you don't want that basketball player to be scrambling around wondering where the ball is, and that's exactly what a lot of salespeople do, right, because they don't know where the right content is. So exactly. A couple of things happen. One, they lose that powerful opportunity when they do have that customer on the phone, and they aren't able to be as effective. And you have to make every interaction count. So they don't have to look for the content anymore. The content helps them differentiate from other salespeople, right, that are picking up the phone and calling them. And it makes sure that that salesperson is more relevant when they're having that conversation to the customer. And it's the relevancy that makes customers listen up, because right, otherwise they tune out really quickly. You can't do generic pitches anymore. You have to be really relevant.
Yeah. Relevant. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about KnowledgeTree, and this will be a good segue into the demo itself. Mm-hmm. You've been using it for 3 years. It might be kind of hard now to think about why you chose it to begin with, but let's talk about some of the outcomes and what you're experiencing, mm-hmm, and why you would, if you would, choose it all over again today.
No, certainly, yeah. Yeah, so technically, what we were looking for is not another storage location to store documents and make the rep go find the documents, search and find the documents. We didn't want to do that. That's 2005 technology. We wanted something that brought the document to the rep, which KnowledgeTree does. And we have KnowledgeTree right in our opportunity screen. And the reps don't have to go outside of the opportunity to go click on some other folder and search and find, and et cetera. So KnowledgeTree
let me stop you right there, Bill, because I want to make sure people caught that. So you said in the opportunity record, you're talking about it working within Salesforce specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. We have about a 6 or 7 inch segment right under the opportunity information screen where KnowledgeTree sits and presents a scroll down of the documents. But as the sales rep is updating their opportunity, for instance, by the job title, let's say it's a technical person or an executive, we click one or the other, and KnowledgeTree brings the documents to the top that are technical to go to a technical person, or business-oriented to go to an executive. And then if I toggle the industry to say healthcare or construction or manufacturing, then it brings up all the case studies for that industry to the top of the list. And we also use filtering for business problems. So we have several of our business drivers. And if the customer says, well, I'm looking for a new phone system because I'm growing and I need to add users and I've outgrown my PBX, well, that's business growth and change for us. And we have content that is tuned to that business problem. And by toggling that simple click in the opportunity information, KnowledgeTree filters and brings those documents to the top. Then I can just click the document and confirm with the customer, is it okay if I send you this document on this topic? Well, sure. Anything to get you off the phone. But that's good. And then the rep can send it to them. The other beauty of it is that KnowledgeTree then records that document send in the opportunity record as an activity. And then when the customer opens the content, it sends me back a message to my email folder, whether it's Outlook or Gmail, then that the customer has opened the document, and now I know to follow up. So it provides that value that a Tout app or a Yesware provides for the rep, but again, it does it right within Salesforce.com and gives me that notification that the customer is interested. Now, what's nice is the rep doesn't have to call back until the customer opens the document, and that might be this afternoon, it might be next week, it might be 3 months from now when the customer is actually interested and goes to that folder I told you about earlier and says, where's that document on VoIP quality that I wanted to read? Oh, there it is. They read it. Now, boom, our sales rep gets a notification that the customer's engaged, and they can call them back at that time. So KnowledgeTree gives us all of that capability right within the opportunity, and it keeps the rep focused and moving forward. You know, when you throw that lob pass up, you either dunk it or you don't, and then there's another play. You got to move on, right? You can't sit around and go, oh, let me try that pass again. There's another play. There's another opportunity. Our reps are moving fast like that, and so by having this enablement tool right in Salesforce.com, our reps stay productive and they, use the content. Now, I'll give you some volume here. And by the way, this is a free choice app. Our reps don't have to use it, okay? They only use it if it works, right? Why would they waste time if it doesn't work? When we started out with KnowledgeTree in the summer of 2014, our first month we sent out 200 documents, or roughly 1 per rep per month. These last 2 quarters, we have sent over 60,000 documents to customers. And you can do the math on that. Our reps are heavy users of KnowledgeTree, and they use it because it works. Why would they, right? They don't have to. They use it because it works, because now they let KnowledgeTree and our content nurture prospects on the side where they're off calling the next prospect. And we get a lot of customers that click on those documents and come back, and it helps us improve our lead to op conversion rates and our opportunity to close conversion rates, because we let our content keep the customer interested and informed and nurtured towards their decision to purchase. And it works. Otherwise, the reps wouldn't use it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great metric in and of itself, because you can't get the performance improvement you're looking for through technology if the reps themselves don't use it. And so almost any other metric doesn't matter, because reps won't use something if it's not working for them. They just won't.
Right.
We know that from CRM. We know that from things like email. They use email because it works for them. So that's a great metric. I want to ask you one more question, and then I think we'll switch over to see it actually in action. But you talked about getting 80,000 leads, I think you said, from Google every quarter. Okay, so that's cost a lot of money to do that. And then you have to develop all the content, which costs a lot of money to keep content up and fresh. And so you want to get your return back on that. Are you able to, I don't know if this is something that you would oversee, or maybe somebody more on the marketing side, but are you able to identify which content is actually working and therefore get a better ROI on content?
Yes, KnowledgeTree comes with at least 9 or 10 dashboards built in already, which shows you the most shared content, the most read content, the most passed on content, the most active customers, the most active sharers of content. We have all sorts of analytics that are built into the app when we installed it. In fact, we didn't even know those dashboards were there till after we installed it. And then we were blown away. It's great stuff. And we've actually modified some of those dashboards to create a report for every segment, every sales manager, and every sales rep, so we can see who the heavy users are and who the reps are that are not using it, so that we can stay on top of that and continue our adoption education efforts. So we have all kinds of content analysis, and then we're able to see which opportunities closed and which content was used towards those closes and in which order it was used. Because, you know, there's typically an order of content that's, you know, aimed at early stages and later stages. And we're able to analyze all of that. And I can tell you, our VP of product marketing loves KnowledgeTree because they are getting an ROI on their investment in creating content, because we can prove to them that it's being sent out to customers by the thousands every month and tens of thousands every month. And we can show them the close rates that are working. And it also shows which content is not being used. So then they can say, well, you know, we need to aim that somewhere else. So it's so we get an improved sales, but we also get a much higher ROI on our product marketing investment that we might otherwise get.
Okay. Well, I think it makes sense probably now to have Peter take us through what that actually looks like. Right? How does it look like for a rep? How do they use it? What do the dashboards look like?
Yeah, that sounds great. So this is a great segue in. Bill, thank you very much for walking through how you chose and what the results are. And what I'll do is I'll jump into the demonstration and show you fundamentally KnowledgeTree what it is, as Bill said. It's a way to get the right content, the content that's proven to win, into the hands of salespeople where they're working. So they're not having to go to another tool or look it up or reuse materials that they themselves have built. They're getting the approved content and the content that best matches their sales situation. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a tripling of content used when KnowledgeTree is in place. About 83% of all content ends up getting used because of KnowledgeTree's recommendations. And we're seeing a doubling of engagement rates of sales reps. They're just able to engage their prospects a lot more because it's the right content. And as you said, it's the relevance factor, right? It's when a bank in the Northeast, and the CFO at that bank is getting materials that speak to them, that speak to his or her need, that's going to resonate a lot more than a generic manufacturing case study or something that's more technical. You know, that's going to get someone interested. So I'll go ahead and start showing you what that looks like. And I'll just switch over into Salesforce first off to start. So you should see Salesforce now. Fundamentally, what KnowledgeTree does, as I said, it's pushing content to reps where they work. Now, that content can be stored in any location. It could be in KnowledgeTree's own repository. It could be on a website, so RingCentral.com. It could be in RingCentral's blog. It could be in RingCentral, the YouTube channel. It could be in your box or your Dropbox. Wherever that content is stored for you, you can push that relevant content to your salespeople. Now within Salesforce, when you install it, you can drop it on not only opportunities, but contacts, leads, accounts. So if you have a customer success or account manager that's working an account, then the content can come to them. For an SDR that may be working in a lead, that can come to them. It can even be on custom objects. So if I'm a success manager working within cases or a custom object, you can have recommended content come to you in all of those. But just for the purpose of the demo, though, I'll just go ahead and select an opportunity and go in. So let's say I'm an account executive right now, and I'm looking to sell into this opportunity here. So I've got Broadcom as the focus for me. Currently, we're in the qualification sales stage, so we're early on. We're selling into new business and some of the products here. So what KnowledgeTree does is it's going to match content back to that sales situation that I'm in. So you can see currently the product I'm selling is the enterprise solution. So just popping up here into products within Salesforce, you can see it's got a product associated with it. The industry of this account is in the technology industry. The contact owner, what their role is. It could be any field or value on these records up and down the relationship. So you know, as we're in the opportunity, but it could be what is the industry on the account. All of those different interconnections help KnowledgeTree then to suggest which material best matches. So one of the reasons why we're seeing so much content get used and reps really adopting it is because it starts with this recommendation. Rather than forcing a rep to browse through endless folders or search on a search term that they're not sure what to actually search on. Instead, the content recommendations come to them. You know, I like to think of it like when I was searching for my son for a computer for Christmas, you know, going into a regular store and hitting search on a e-commerce site, and I ended up with 70,000 results. You know, trying to pick out a PC out of 70,000 results is not easy. Versus, you know, more like the Apple model, where there's already curated, recommended computers that make the choice a lot easier. So we're taking that approach, where now it's these 8 pieces that are the best match for my salesperson. Now, also what KnowledgeTree does is it's actually scoring content. Because one of the things that to really pay attention to is something successful for my colleagues? So if there's a ebook that's working for a certain sales situation, their colleagues are having success with it, you know, so for instance, in Bill's team, where, you know, there's hundreds of sales development reps, well, what if one set that are getting really good results out of a certain piece? Well, we want that best practice to be replicated. So what KnowledgeTree does is it scores content for this context. The best performing content just rises naturally to the top, and content that's not performing as well gets bumped down toward the bottom. Salesperson knows, first off, the content's getting filtered by my sales situation, and second, it's getting ranked based on its performance. So the best performing content just always appears.
Okay, I have a question, Peter, on this.
Sure.
And actually, I think I'll ask Bill the question. You mentioned a minute ago that, you know, it checks the opportunity in the product that's being proposed and the industry and the title or the role. So, Bill, does that mean that your reps do a better job now actually inputting that data, because they know if they don't, then they don't get the benefit of having the content served up to them?
Yes, exactly. If they don't click those fields and update the opportunity, then what KnowledgeTree does is it just shows a sort of a chronological list of content. And, you know, we have over 300 pieces of content in there, and they would just have to scroll through 300 pieces looking for something. Again, that's too slow. So the reps learn, gosh, if I just update the industry field, my success stories, you know, customer testimonies filter to the top, and I can quickly send it out. So yes, it does help the reps improve the accuracy of their opportunity, which of course helps our analysis after the fact as well.
Yeah, that's a big issue for, I'm sure, a lot of people listening. Their reps just don't want to fill out those fields, and you know what? They haven't had a really good reason to, because it hasn't really benefited them directly. So if you want that information for analysis, and you should have that information for your own data analytics and management, this is a great way to make sure that they put that information in. Now there's a reason to.
That's right. Yeah, and in addition to the recommendations, you know, a salesperson can also search for content, and they can browse for it as well. So you can apply more standard tags to your material. So instead of it being linked just to the sales situation, like for instance the account industry, I can just navigate through and find material maybe marked as internal or customer success material or what have you, and narrow down my searches to find exactly the piece that I want. Very quick for me to go ahead and do that. Now let's say that I've decided, you know what, this is the piece that I'd like to use. I can click on that, and I'm told, you know, whether or not that content's been shared with my prospect before. So it's very fast for me to then find out, is that in fact the right material that I'd like to send out? So I simply can, you know, browse through that piece and decide whether that is a piece I'd like to share. And then directly from within here, I could go ahead and start sharing it. Or I could copy out text if I wanted to, or I could just go ahead and start sharing it with my prospect. Just clicking on share, that'll open up a dialog. I can select with whom I'd like to share it. Looks like I've shared it with Sarah and Mike already. Looks like I haven't shared it with Kelly or Bill. So I'll just go ahead and share it with Kelly. I can get a share link, I could copy that out, or I can just open it up directly in my email client. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and it'll just open up Outlook or Gmail or Apple Mail or whatever my email client is, and it'll open up right here, populated with an email template. So it makes it very easy for a salesperson to then go ahead and customize this to their heart's content. And let's meet.
And to use Bill's example, they can get on to the next play. Right?
Exactly. Now, one of the things that's also great is that, yeah, of course we want to make sure that reps are in the CRM, but you know the reality is that reps spend a lot of their day within email, and they're sending out email to prospects. So the same recommendations that you see within the CRM, you can actually have as well coming to you directly from within email. So that could be within Gmail or within Outlook. So down here, you'll notice there's a KnowledgeTree icon that appears, and when I click on that, that's actually going to pull up recommendations of content specifically for this email recipient. So again, I'm not having to, I can search if I wanted to, and I can browse for content. But in this case, I just want to know what is the right material for Kelly before I send this email. I can just simply select a few pieces, drop those in, they get added to my email, and then I can go ahead and send that out. So extremely efficient for salespeople to find the right material, get those recommendations, and then go ahead and send that.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is that it doesn't attach a file. It puts it in as a link, which is really important because emails get blocked all the time because you've got all these attachments. And frankly, as a prospect, I don't want to open up an attachment because I don't want to put my email at risk. So that more emails will get through and more emails will get open because it's a link and not an attachment.
Exactly. So if I click on any of those links, then I'm going to be taken to a landing page where this content is passed through. Again, it's just pulling the most current version from wherever it sits right now. So if the content's in Box, or if it's in Dropbox, or if it's in Salesforce content, wherever that content is, then in this landing page, you'll have that most recent, most current material pushed to the sales reps and ultimately to the prospects.
Okay, so if Bill's team sends out a whole bunch of a certain piece of content, and now all of a sudden something changes in the product spec or the pricing or what have you, and they need to make a change to that content, does that mean then that anyone who goes to the landing page to view that content now as a prospect gets the current information?
Well, that's what's so powerful for marketers or for sales enablement teams that are creating content, is as soon as I update it in Box or Dropbox or wherever, that content's instantly reflected. The most current version is instantly reflected to reps and prospects. So there's no updating, there's no pushing of content out to KnowledgeTree or copying it. You don't have to do that because KnowledgeTree just automatically always pushes the most recent version from where it's sitting right now. So it saves a ton of effort.
Yeah, that's huge. Because you don't want prospects having outdated information, especially if the new information is even more enticing.
Well, that's so true. That's so true. Now, as Bill was mentioning, you know, there's the key is really that relevance. And so when I go ahead and change something, like let's say I changed the sales stage, or I was in an account and I changed which products were being sold to them, maybe, or you know, what kind of churn risk they are, or anything like that, then the recommendations then could be re-triggered based on that new sales situation I'm in. So let's say now I went to negotiation as a sales stage. Now might be later sales material that's now appearing down here. Also, what you might notice popping out here is what we call quick plays. And these are lightweight ebooks that can be used to push suggested training material. So maybe links back to your learning management system, or it could be training video. So all of these materials can be pushed just in time to a salesperson, again, based on the context that they're in. I think that's one of the fundamental things, is that it has to be where the reps work, as Bill mentioned, getting it right to them in stride, and it has to be in context. It's just a generic recommendation. If it's waiting for the rep to search on material or browse for material, it's just not going to work. But if it's already pre-filtered based on who that sales rep is in the organization, maybe they're on the success team, maybe they're a technical architect, maybe they're an SDR, and who they're talking to, a CFO versus a CIO versus a director of marketing, whomever they're talking to and whomever they are, that's what you need to filter it on. And that's what KnowledgeTree does so well, is making those recommendations intelligent.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, can I share how we're using the quick plays?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got them built for industries. So when a sales rep toggles the lead or opportunity to healthcare, up pops a quick play on healthcare that shares with the sales rep right in the screen there 4 or 5 key pain points that customers in the healthcare industry experience when they're looking at their phone system. And then it shows how we solve those pain points. So it tees up these questions that we can ask the prospect. Gee, other healthcare companies have told us they're struggling with these 3 or 4 problems. I'm just wondering if you're struggling with any of those. And the customer goes, yeah, that's exactly what we're dealing with. How did you know that? And now the sales rep has communicated a level of knowledge to the prospect that is impressive and helpful to getting to the pain points that the customer is experiencing. So we are heavy users of your quick play feature. We love it, and we focus it on industries in our instance.
I would think the quick plays for a company like yourself that's fast growing and you're hiring lots of new reps, boy, though, just to onboard reps so that they can be productive immediately. They've got the right questions. It makes that new rep sound like they are a tenured rep, and they know, they know what questions to ask, and they're educated. When in fact they could have started, a week ago.
Yeah.
That's
the point.
That's very true. Yeah, get people on board and talking like experts immediately. And the other thing that I think I want to point out, is there's a ton of data that's being collected here about the performance. So of course the salesperson is getting logged, the activities, the fact that those are being shared, and then the fact that a prospect is viewing that content. As Bill mentioned, they're getting an email as well, so they're getting an alert that now is a great time to follow up. And all of that data also is being aggregated for sales enablement, for sales leadership, and for marketing. So if I go into dashboards, these are some of those pre-built reports that Bill had mentioned. So as a marketer, I'm going to want to see, well, not just which content shared or viewed the most. That's great and useful, but really what I want to know is, well, which content is being shared by small deals versus large, or for product A versus product B? Which content is being shared early in the sales process versus late? And you can even do things, show me what is the total dollar value of all opportunities that are closed won, or show me the total dollar value of all opportunities closed won where ebooks were used. So product marketing immediately can tell whether there's content successful or not. Just to give you an example from ourselves as KnowledgeTree, we used to produce data sheets, and that was one of our standard collateral pieces that we would send out. And then we looked at our own stats and discovered that, first off, salespeople were rarely sending them. And then even when they were, prospects never looked. But the videos, people were looking at an incredible amount. So the result is we basically eliminated data sheets from our own content portfolio, and now just invest in videos as our primary content piece.
Interesting. Well, we're coming up on the time here, but I do want to ask before we go about some just implementation questions as well as outcome questions. So, when somebody new gets started with KnowledgeTree, what is the process? How difficult is it? I've got a whole bunch of content, and it's all in all kinds of different places. How do I start populating the system and get it
right? Yeah, I love that question, because to be honest, we for every single demonstration that we do, and we do a lot of them, we do a custom demo. And the reason why is because really it only actually, this demo that you're seeing here, that took 25 minutes to set up. That's a total time from install through connecting contacts, organizing it, and being ready to go. Now, I'm not saying that our customers roll out in 25 minutes, but to give you a sense for how quickly you can make those connections and immediately start having content viewable by your sales team and then shared with your prospects, it can be an extremely fast process. We also, I think one of the things that sets us apart as well is all of our success team is part of your team. So when it's implemented, all training, all onboarding, if there's bulk connections to content that you'd like to do, we do that. And also just from a technology perspective, our technology actually can connect into your repositories to not only add content, but also to connect over with the metadata and bring more metadata over into your KnowledgeTree account. So very, very fast to get up and running. To your point about, what are some of those metrics, I think the key one that I'm really most proud of is what the reps' results are, what the rep adoption looks like. I think, as Bill pointed out, if reps aren't using it, then what's the point? And because we're seeing that tripling of content use, because we're seeing reps get real results, then it spreads like wildfire within a team. So very, very excited about that as well.
Yeah, that's so important. When I talk to people interested in technology, the thing I tell them to ask almost before any other question is, tell me about your adoption rates. Because it doesn't matter how great the technology is or what the potential is if nobody uses it.
Yeah, yeah. Would you like me to share our secret to success there?
Of course.
We look at adoption in 3 layers. First, you have what we call awareness, and that's where you send out a message via email to the reps. Here's a screenshot of KnowledgeTree. Here's how it works. Click here to learn more. And we get about 20% usage or adoption from an awareness effort. The second layer is we call training, which is where the implementer or someone like myself would do a demonstration on my computer to a broad group, either in a training class or a web training like this. And you get about another 40% of people who, when they see it operating, they go, oh, I get it, and they start playing with it, and they go, oh, there it is, yeah, it works, oh, cool, and they adopt. But you've still left 40% that don't get it. And I'm actually one of those kinds of people that don't get things very quickly, technology-wise. So I'm sensitive to, you gotta do more for me. And so our secret sauce is that we go to every rep's desk and spend a few moments to see that they're using it on their computer. Maybe I did a demo on a Mac and they've got a PC and it's different and they can't figure it out. Or maybe they can't customize their tabs in Salesforce and they don't find it. So we find that going desk to desk to individually enable every rep, it takes a few minutes, but then you get that extra 40% adoption. Because a lot of reps just don't get it and they don't figure it out, or they get frustrated, or they forget, and so you don't get the full adoption that you need. So that's our secret sauce, is we go desk to desk to desk to train people individually.
That is really important for people to hear, because I'm seeing this phenomenon where companies, feel now with all the SaaS software that's out there that, hey, I can just buy licenses and turn it on, and there we go, we're all set. But no, SaaS is a business model, and yes, it's also a technology model in that it allows you to turn it on quickly, but it doesn't mean that it allows you to get productive or to get adoption from it quickly. So anyone who's considering SaaS software, heed Bill's secret sauce advice and know that you have to have the commitment. You have to make sure that you're actually committed to making training, doing a little bit of training. In this case, it doesn't look like much is required, but there's still some hand-holding that is required to reach everyone in their different personality and styles. You can't just turn it on.
Yeah.
Well, with that,
go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to wrap it up, but if you have one more thing to say, let's hear it.
Well, this is just little, but with 400 sales reps, we have lots of different kinds of sales reps in different roles, and they all have a different profile in Salesforce.com. And if our technical people don't enable the app like KnowledgeTree for every profile, then maybe they go back to their desk and they go, oh, I don't have it. So there's a lot of little technical things that, are kind of behind the scenes that prevent people from adopting. And again, that's why you've got to go to their desk and see it for yourself to make sure they're able to use it.
Yeah, very important. You don't want a license just sitting there unused, but that's just a small part of the cost. The big part of the cost of low adoption is that you're not getting the return on your investment and benefiting from all of the capabilities that it helps you do, being more relevant, being able to convert more prospects because you're more relevant and you can engage them more effectively. Bill, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. That's why we do these webinars, because we know it's so helpful for people to hear from people like themselves who are out there running sales operations. And Peter, thank you so much for showing us how KnowledgeTree works. It was a great session today.
Terrific. Well, thank you both. Really enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks to all.
And for everyone else, feel free to go to our site. We have lots of on-demand webinars, ones like this that we've held in the past. If you're interested in other types of technologies, we've got a lot of them in our library. And also feel free to sign up for our series, and that way you'll get a login automatically when we have each of the webinars. Again, thanks both of you. It was fantastic, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.